Hey guys, we just got the closing bell for September 10th, and it was a pretty volatile day. It did end up being non-directional like we had thought it would be, but we floated up towards the top at the end of the day. So today we started at the top, we traded all the way down, and it looked very negative for the day. And then at the end, we just reversed and went all the way back up. So in the end, chopped sideways. We are still below the MA50, below the EMA 8, below the EMA 20. So really just an indecision day. And we're going to see what happens with those presidential debates and with the CPI report tomorrow. So let's just take a look. Really, there's not a lot for us to look at except for a little bit of momentum, to take a look at our sectors to see which ones did well by the end of the day. And then other than that, we'll just be waiting for the presidential elections and the CPI numbers to come out. So we'll take a quick look at that, and it'll probably be a nice and short video for today. Let's take a look at our momentum levels first. Actually, you know what? Let's look at our VIX. Let's look at our VIX first. We are down to 19.12, so still elevated, still above that 17, 17 and a half level that we're looking for to indicate calm in the markets. And we'll just see like the volatility is probably going to spike up, if anything, because of the CPI report, the PPI report, the presidential debates. So I wouldn't really count on this floating down below 17 anytime soon. Okay, let's take a look at our momentum levels and see if we have any bias to the upside or downside in terms of momentum. And 197, so more 90-day highs than yesterday, but also more 90-day lows than yesterday. So we have a divergence. So what we really want to see then is which ones are making lows and which ones are making highs. That's going to be very, very telling, especially if there's a difference in sectors. So the ones making lows, looks like it's probably going to be a lot of financials, oils and energy, financials, oil, oil, oil. So retail, wholesale, oil, it's a little bit of tech. Looks like mostly oil and a sprinkling of a few other things. And then in the 90-day highs, we're looking at some services, some tech, some. These are not actually finance. These are ETFs. So that's why it's just showing up as finance, retail, wholesale. A lot of ETFs actually. Okay, let's actually look at the sectors. That'll be a little bit more clear. And for today, see real estate, technology, consumers, discretionary, so risk on type of assets. But we also have utilities up here, and it looks like Staples is more middle of the road or down at the bottom. So looking like risk came back into the market. So that is good news in terms of money not actually leaving the markets. They're staying within the stock market. So we're not going to expect a huge bleed off and money leaving the markets. So QQQ bounced up a little bit, SPY bounced up a tiny bit, IWM flat, Dow Jones down a tiny bit. So it looks like risk. We liked risk today, and but that's probably more of a reaction to this downward movement. So we've not quite recovered the downward movement that we saw on Friday. So I'm not going to read too much into it, but it is good news that money is staying within the stock market. We'll see what sectors start to lead because of the presidential debates. So really, we would just want to stay neutral, maybe slightly bearish at this time period, but of course, that's what today's session was for any sort of hedges, any sort of tail risk trades that we wanted to put on, because now it's going to be too late. So the markets are going to open after all of this news and all of this data comes out. So we're just going to be waiting. Have a wonderful rest of your night. We'll see how those presidential candidates do in their debates, and then we'll see how that CPI number prints in the morning.